Hi, welcome to the Roadhouse. My name is Amy Hoff, and these are stories about drifting. I wanted to tell you guys a story about, many years ago now. I'd been hanging out with a friend in Duluth and just looked at him and said, "Hey, you want to go for a drive?" He said, "Sure, let's do that." So we drove up to Palisade Head, which is this cliff on the side of Lake Superior up the North Shore. And we're sitting out there, 1 o'clock in the morning, I think, looking over the water, and I said to him, "So, how do you feel about Canada at this time of night?" He's like, "That's a great idea." So we drove all the way up to the Canadian border and we went over. And he'd never been outside of the country before, and he was just floored. It blew his mind. All of the street signs were different. He didn't know what kilometers were. It was really funny. And he was convinced we were going to run out of gas because, the difference in miles and kilometers, basically. Anyway, so we get into Thunder Bay safely and pull into a gas station. And the guy there wasn't very polite, and he got back in the car. Steve got back in the car and was like, "I think I've just experienced anti-American prejudice," and was telling me that he was an international musician because he was in a band at the time, and now that he'd finally crossed the border to Canada. And then we went to a coffee shop and we sat there for a really long time just listening to all the conversations around us. And we were pretty giddy at the time, so we were like giggling a lot because we just had gone to Canada in the middle of the night for no reason. And the best part of that story, though, was that we went back over the border. And for some reason, my dad had given me a paper bag full of men's ties, and that was the only thing that was in the car. So, like, there was just a bag of like 100 men's ties in the trunk. And the border guard's face was pretty memorable. And I said, "Yeah, that was a gift from my dad. I'm not sure why." And then the border guard said, "Did you buy anything in Canada?" And we said, "Yeah, like coffee and gas and, chips or whatever." And we got back in the car, and as we're driving away, I heard the cop shout "Cheapskates" at us. And so Steve didn't react though, and 3 hours later we're coming back into Duluth on London Road, and the sun is coming up over Lake Superior, and Steve turns to me with this horrified face and says, "Did that cop just call us cheapskates?"